Everybody up. Sweet, sweet. Right, we've got a few minutes just to get everybody in, and then we'll jump straight into it. It's going to be a busy one again. I'm looking forward to it.
Bro, you're in like a booth or something.
It's a sauna.
It feels like a sauna. But AC that.
You're sweating.
Hang on. It's hot. Not in Canada anymore.
We're not in Kansas anymore, motherfuckers.
Yeah, definitely not hot here.
Sweet, sweet. Let's push out. Let's make sure a Twitter post goes out. Make sure everyone knows we're live. Starting to get people in. Welcome everybody. It's going to be a busy hour in a good way.
Oh, I didn't realize you guys are video on. Shade, you doing the video?
I'm gonna keep mine off because I'm so sick right now.
I'll join you in solidarity.
Thanks, man.
People can see our saunas later.
Save it, can save it.
Yeah. Don't want to leak it all at once.
Jace has shaved. Big news.
Shaved Jace.
That is big news.
He's ascended. Evolved.
Or the other way around, but it's too hot to have a beard. I understand why most people don't. Or a mustache. Yeah, no, look. Ascended, like it. Twin brother. Thanks, Present Ranger.
Yeah,
Cool,
we
cool.
got
1 minute.
Gila around. What up, Prism? What up, Nettie? What up, Equigod? What up, Neo Arts? What up, Red? What up, Kyoshiro? What up, Green Beans? We got Netizen. What up, Raider? What up, Valcour? Daffy Dunk. Got Arca. We got Cairo. What up, Cairo? She's just like Cairo on stage.
The new host.
He's got only if he has a sauna.
Cairo's on the subway, dude. Living that New York life. Subway, man.
That's kind of like a sauna, right?
Subway? What is it? It's March. Yeah, it's probably nice. New York this time of year. The changing of the seasons. The plants are becoming green again. Baseball is on the way. It was cold. My parents are in New York, and they were very cold this summer or this winter. What up, Ikev? What up, Boba Bunny? What up, Venus? That's a sick reptile, man. We love that reptile. We love the reptiles. Karu, what's your favorite baseball team? Royals. Okay. Royals won the World Series in 2015 against the Mets. So not bad. You got Bobby Witt Jr. now. So future's looking maybe bright. Yankees fan, bro? What the fuck? Yankees. Yankees haven't won in a minute. Yeah. I actually met Derek Jeter. I actually met Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera, and I have like mad merch from them. Like, yeah. It's kind of a crazy story. My little league coach growing up, he ran the memorabilia company of the New York Yankees. So I have like mad signed balls. I went to spring training. Derek Jeter like came to our championship game. Yeah. So I wasn't a Yankees fan, but I actually went to the game where Johnny Damon hit a grand slam in 2004 to complete the comeback, basically. I'll show you some of my Yankee pics of me and the Yankee royalty someday. They're all in my parents' house, so I'll have to tell my dad to take a snap or something. Yeah, I mean, my my dad is a Mets fan, so it's kind of a thing, a family illness, if you will. I'm also an Arsenal fan, if you guys are not into baseball. That's also kind of similar to being a Mets fan. It's similar torture. Also being a Knicks fan. All right, we're at 140. We're gonna hit 150 soon. Do we have Laker fans in the house? Lakers are kind of on a heater right now. Serendipity, Brunson, you're a Knicks fan. Spurs, we got the Spurs. Okay. Winston and I are playing some basketball, so they call us the Spurs of Saigon City. Lakers since Kobe. Relatable. Bronny James. Yo, Bronny, low key, he could actually be a decent 3-and-D player. I think his 3-point shooting percentage is actually pretty solid. I haven't checked the stats recently, but and I think his D is actually can be okay. Tottenham. The Korean guy played for Tottenham, so we like this. We like Tottenham, I guess.
Just trolling.
We got the World Cup coming up. Yeah, Son's in LA. It's pretty crazy. I guess more players are retiring in the US these days, but I mean, he's still relatively young. Like, I mean, players are playing in the World Cup now until they're almost in their late 30s. Whereas they used to have to retire if they were like 32, 33. England to win the World Cup. Let's bring it home. Chase would be happy.
1000%.
I mean, I would be, you don't want to see like, you don't want to see like something boring like Spain or Argentina or France or Yeah. Brazil winning would be kind of fun too. They haven't won in a while. They haven't won since 2002.
Better than 1966, trust me. It's been a long time.
Yeah, England is kind of chopped in the World Cup recently.
Time for a leak. ET, what leak do you want? You throw it out.
We will have some leaks. We will have some leaks. If you guys show like, if you guys prove that you want leaks, we can have some leaks. What up, Martin? Spam leaks in the chat if you want leaks. Many emojis, dude. Let this man fucking cook. Okay. All right, let's start when we hit 150. Not breathing until we hit 150. $152. Is that true? Shade is sick, so he's not gonna have his cam on. All right, we're okay. I think we can start now.
Sounds good. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be a busy one over the next 45 minutes. Thank you everyone for coming along. We're essentially going to be diving deep into what we leaked on socials and Discord last week. So it's essentially what's happening in April for Axie, and there's a lot. But before we jump into what's happening in April. Gio, if we can probably pass it over to you just to speak about like what's been going on with BAXS since that dropped and how that's been affecting everybody.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so let's start off with BAXS. And so BAXS is really important because this gives us a tool that we wished we had all along, right? For too long, it's been very difficult to balance crypto gaming economies where you have a lot of bots and people that are just playing purely just to make as much as possible and sell it as quickly as possible. And BAXS, the early data that we're getting is showing that it's actually working. So already from the beginning of the year, we've actually been able to remove 90% of the bots from the ecosystem. And another really promising indicator that we're seeing is that revenue to the treasury, even though, right, like we're emitting BAXS, revenue to the treasury is remarkably stable. But what are people actually choosing to do with the BAXS that they're earning? The good news is that 86% of the AXS or the BAXS that players are earning through the game, they're actually choosing to use to evolve and ascend their axes. And only 13.4% is being swapped back to AXS. So this is showing that our goal of encouraging people to upgrade their axes, engage with Axie Core, feed the treasury is actually working with the BAXS initiative. And so, we all want AXS to go up in the long run, and being able to create a system where we're able to still emit rewards, but do it in a very smart way, do it in a way that is benefiting the ecosystem, benefiting the treasury without putting a ton of sell pressure on the token, this is a huge victory. So I think over time, we're going to see the implications of this, right? This allows us to be more creative with how we distribute rewards in game. It allows us to do things like run tournaments. I put out a leak earlier about a tournament platform that Jatster is currently working on. So in general, right, the initial data that we're seeing with BAXS is very positive.
Sweet. Quite a lot of people interested in chat about that. We'll probably save questions to the end, just purely because I want to get through a lot of the talking points. But that's one
another thing that I want. So I guess another thing that I want to say about BXS is that the utility of it will be going up over time. We'll be integrating it, for example, into the codex system. So you will be able to actually buy a codex for season 1 with BAXS. So yeah, I think with that, I think we can transition into talking a little bit about season 1 of the codex with Jeff K or Shade.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so we've been working on season 1 of the Codex, right? We had a really good season 0. With season 0, we kind of, the goal was kind of just test out this system to see if it works, and get people accustomed to the idea of a seasonal battle pass type thing, right? And so with Codex season 1, we feel like we've sort of changed the structure a little bit. We've changed the structure in a way that it feels very modular. It feels very expandable and scalable for future seasons. So I'll talk a little bit about that right now. But yeah, so with the important thing with Codex season 1 is that it will go hand in hand with Atia's Legacy playtest 2, right? So these two things will drop at the same time, and they're very much tied together via the lore, right? In the Codex, the idea with the Codex is that it will tell the history of Lunacia and Axes via the Codex, right? The Codex is kind of like this compendium, this history book, right? And it will always tell historical lore, right? And then all the lore that sort of takes place in Atia's Legacy, that lore will sort of be the present time, right? So these two things will go hand in hand. A lot of the lore that we learn about in Codex Season 1 will answer some questions that we'll have in the playtest, right? Cool. So I won't spoil too much about the lore, but it tells some history about ancient Lunacia, right? We'll learn a little bit about some origins of certain species and things like that. But the way that the Season 1 Codex will be structured is that there will be 3 paths. So players will be able to choose whatever path that they want, and each path tells a little mini story, and you'll unlock accessories that are tied to the story, and then the perk will each path has a unique perk that will help you on the bounty board for the duration of the season. Can somebody drop that graphic in the chat?
Ooh, wait, which one?
The one with the choose your season 1 path. That one, that graphic.
I got you.
I think that's a really good one to sort of drop. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and just show you guys, what the accessories and the perks that you can get from Codex Season 1. So so Jiho just dropped a graphic in the chat. This is a good leak to sort of talk about. But so you'll see in the first path, You'll get some accessories. You'll get some spirit clay, which you'll use for something, and obviously BA access, right? And then the special perk for that first path is you get 2 free rerolls for each quest slot per day. So that will help you, obviously on your bounty board. The second one, you'll get some, accessories, and also one thing to mention here, some of these accessories were community made. We had a contest last season, I think. I forgot what the contest was about, but some community members made some accessories, and we've used them as actual official accessories in the codex. Like for example, that snail you'll notice, the one to the right of the snail, and then the frog and the lotus. Those are all community made. Cool. And then the second path, you'll learn a little bit about the war. This war that took place a long time ago, and you'll get an additional quest slot. So that's the special perk. You'll get an additional quest slot. So instead of 5 quests a day, you'll get, or instead of however many you have to get today, you'll get an additional one. And then for the third path,
so that's a new mechanic, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll be able to select the pool that quest slot is. So, a lot of people complain like, oh, they wish they had more game quests or more Axie Core quests, right? So if you get this additional slot, you'll be able to choose like, oh, this will only be Axie Core, only, game quests or whatever. And then for the final third path, the perk is higher Master Quest chance on rerolls. So every time you reroll, it'll be a higher chance. And then obviously they'll all stack. So if you unlock all 3 paths before the season ends, they'll stack. And the strategy here is going to be like, which one am I going to pick first, right? If everybody is going for this one, maybe I should go for the other one, right? And it also kind of depends on how you play the bounty board. So it's going to be interesting to see how people sort of tackle this. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the Codex Season 1. Excuse me. And like I said, it will tie into Atia's Legacy Playtest 2. So as we go through the Codex Season 1, we'll learn a lot about the history here, the history about pot golems, and this evil pot golem that will, appear in Atia's Legacy Playtest 2. And then once we get our hands on Atia's Legacy Playtest 2, all the NPCs and characters around town will have some deeper lore that will tie back into all of this. And it'll be this nice cohesive thing. This is the deepest lore thing that we've ever done. Ever. And we want to see if this resonates with people, if people enjoy it. And obviously, future seasons of the Codex will tell different stories. They will have different, perks and mechanics and different accessories, and hopefully tie into future playtests of Atia's Legacy as well. Yeah, that's the Codex here. Any questions? Anyone have any questions on the Codex? Or we can do questions at the end. What do you think, Jason?
We've got time if you want to do a quick few ones just specific about Codex.
Yeah. Oh, the Season 0 orb. I don't know if should I. The Season 0 orb will. I don't know if I want to.
We haven't revealed it yet, so
Yeah,
people know it's going to
reveal
be of use. But probably not best
let's
just
keep
yet.
Let's keep that a little bit of secret. Yeah. Each path will cost 4 AXS or BAXS. So you could do one path. If you don't want to do all 3 paths, you could just do one. So you don't have to buy all of them at once, right? But each path will cost 4 AXS. You can obviously pay it in BAXS. If you do all 3 paths, that'll be 12, right? And obviously you earn back some of that AXS and BAXS in BAXS rewards as you complete the path, right? And some of the Codex paths give you more BAXS than others. Some give more, things than others. So they're all kind of like designed a little bit differently. How many levels per path? 20 levels per path. So last season it was what was it, like 50 levels or something? Yeah, so it'll be 20 levels per path. Yeah,
Can you
so
complete all of them, or
yeah, you can complete all of them, and people will definitely complete all of them. People in season 0 completed, the whole thing pretty quickly. So I anticipate it being the same. And remember, the sooner, since the perks are pretty significant, the sooner that you complete them, the longer you get those perks for the duration of that season, right? Yeah. Like having an additional quest slot is really going to help your placement on the bounty board, weekly bounty board, right?
So it's kind of like a snowballing thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You can only work on one path at a time, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so you have to choose which one you choose to do first.
That's right. Yeah.
What is the ETA for this thing for Codex Season 1?
We're looking to launch this in 2 to 3 weeks.
You can do it in so my understanding, Blue Perp and Gila, is that you can basically choose which one you do first, right? So there's no like set order.
Yeah, there's no set order. You can do them all in whatever order you want. There's no recommended order, right? It's a lot of people will decide which one based on the perk, right? Some people really like chasing master quests, so they'll do the third path. Some people really want that extra slot, so they'll choose the second one. And some people don't have collectibles, so they think having free rerolls would be really good.
Sweet. We've got time for one more question on Codex, and then we'll jump on to Atia's Legacy playtest 2. Season 0 badge.
Okay, I think we can move on Codex then.
Sweet. Sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, so obviously, thanks for that, Shade, just jumping in. This is one of the first releases for the Codex, which ties in Atia's Legacy playtest 2. So when you're uncovering these lore arcs, these are kind of what the community, requested on Atia's Legacy playtest 1. So what's happening for Atia's Legacy playtest 2, Cruz? Do you want to come up and let everyone know what we've got planned and what to expect?
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, as Shane mentioned, we wanted to tie these things all together so that they can, be stronger multipliers against each other. So the first step is making sure that the lore and all this is tied together, and we're using the game to release lore, and we're having lore to make the game seem more exciting and tie them more in. Right now, it's pretty surface level as far as what that looks like. You play the lore, you go into the playtest, you fight some bosses, you read some dialogue and stuff within the playtest that ties into it. So I really wanted to have the tie-in be a little bit more economical on this first try, but that might be coming soon, but not right now. But this is, again, we've talked about this a lot for the last few launches, where Axie needs to move forward in a unified way to make it all one cohesive game and ecosystem and IP. I've always joked how Atia's Legacy is the MMORPG, but Axie Infinity is the real MMORPG, where it all ties in together, as opposed to having this codex be one function that's inside the game. This codex operates as its own ecosystem, as in its own kind of game loop, and then it ties directly into the combat within the game, and it interoperates and works really well to be one really strong, cohesive experience from a lore perspective, and also from an economy perspective. So that I'm really excited for. This is the first time we're going to ship this all, where it all fits in together. So this is going to be the least amount of integrated it'll be in the future, and then it'll just get more and more and more integrated as the playtests go on. the thing that we want to focus on in this playtest too, and we've talked about it a lot, where what are we seeing work in the space? What are we seeing that kind of makes sense with Axie, with the TIAs, and with what we could do with Web3. And we're going to be testing out the extraction dungeons, which I'm playing through right now inside the Atia's Legacy build. This first pass is going to be it's pretty similar to the first playtest. I think maybe I don't know if we're going to show some gameplay of this in this lounge, but you go in, you get some
Share your
you
screen, bro.
grind.
Don't.
Share my screen.
Nah.
Spicy. Jace, you're gonna share your screen, or should I?
The new build.
If you want, you don't have to. It's pretty work in progress. It's a little janky at this current moment, but if you get cool clips, feel free to share your screen.
I'm gonna send
actually,
it. I'm gonna send it. Yeah, I'm gonna just
Yeah,
mute
yeah.
myself, and then you can talk. I'll just play.
Yeah, okay. The big thing that we want to test in this playtest that's going to be coming out in a few weeks is going to be this dungeon function where you get equipment, but if you try the hardcore mode of it, you have a chance to lose your equipment when you die. Right now, there's going to be all off chain. There's going to be all virtual items and virtual currency, so the risk is not super high. But we wanted to test this to just make sure that the back end and the game can support higher risky moves and like a 3D high functioning gameplay. And if this works out, then the door will be open to a lot more interesting gameplay with interesting economic loops within the game itself. So that is again they're going to be the focus for this playtest. We're probably going to be running it for a week or 2 weeks to have higher and challenging dungeon content to fight a lot of the content that you're going to be learning in the codex, to get legendary and exclusive equipment, and see how many people are willing to risk it all, or theoretically risk it all, to get some of the cool stuff and top some leaderboards and be the first to complete dungeons as fast as they can. So really excited to hear feedback. We're going to keep the playtest relatively small. Like for the last one, it was about 1,000 invites, which about 700 people played pretty thoroughly throughout the test. We're going to start with about 1,000 playtesters on day one as well, just to kind of slowly ease into the servers. These playtests are one to validate a lot of our design and product decisions, but also it's just to like slowly scale up the game as we add more complex features. That adds more load on the servers, and if we add more people, we want to see what that looks like. So on day one, we'll start with about 1,000 playtesters, and then as the playtest goes on day 2 and 3 and 4, we'll evaluate to see if it's laggy, if it's a good experience, and then we may not open up some more slots onwards. We're going to prioritize day 1 access to Mystic Axie holders, and we have a list of the users who really actively participated in playtest 1. As Jiho mentioned, maybe people that are just in this Lunacian lounge right now. So we're going to finalize that list pretty shortly as far as who's going to get that day 1 invite. But if you're not getting that day 1 invite, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. We're going to work on scaling the playtest servers up so we can have more and more people. There's no theoretical cap on how many people can come in, but we'll just make it make sense for what the game can currently support. We're going to send out some emails, I think tomorrow, I believe, or in the next 24 hours, to let people who are getting that day 1 invite get that invite and make sure that they're securing their spot. So that's the plan. And this is going to be happening, like we mentioned, this is going to be happening within the same lore tie-in with the codex, so we want to release this within that codex season 1 as well. So that's going to be pretty soon in the next few weeks. One thing I want to add, okay, Jace is leaking some stuff. One thing I want to add is that we've talked a lot and we've posted a lot about the PvP. That won't be in the build on day 1. We want to focus on these kind of dungeons systems and see if people are excited about that on day 1. And then if you're really itching for PvP, which I'm seeing people online are pretty excited to try that out more, that'll be added to the build within a few weeks to a month of the playtest 2 go live date. So that's something pretty exciting. We'll have more news about what that looks like. So playtest 2, solo, single player, extraction type mode. Playtest 3, or the playtest 2B will be a first test at what the PvP looks like with real players. And then what we've talked about a lot in advance before, and what we're looking at for playtest 4, which is gonna be sooner than you think. We're shooting for the next few playtests to happen much quicker than the time between playtest 1 and playtest 2. As we talked about before, we had to change a lot of the systems, and we had to refactor to get we've learned a lot from the first playtest, and we had to change a lot on how we were scaling the systems. And now we think we're in a much better place. So playtest 2 is going to be happening in a few weeks. Playtest 3 should be a few weeks to a month after that, and playtest 4 should be in a month or so after that. Where playtest 4, we're looking at what does it look like when we combine PvP and also these solo dungeons together. We know that there's a lot of really cool, interesting gameplay as far as what does it look like when you and your friends are partying in a dungeon, and there's Jace and his friends partying in a dungeon, and we're all kind of competing for the same loot. What does that look like? What kind of emergent and interesting gameplay designs come out of that? That's something that we think is really cool and exciting, and that we want to test out. Again, we've talked a lot about it if you've come to previous lounges, but we're towards the end of designing this thing and getting the code ready for testing this out. So yeah, in short, playtest 2 coming pretty soon. Iteration speeds coming a lot faster. This is all going to be tied into the codex and going to be even more and more integrated. And there's a lot of really cool new content in this playtest that hopefully everyone in this lounge can check out. So that was a lot, but that's the end of my spiel. Okay, Jason's sending more screenshots. I gotta update this copy. But yeah. Any cool questions in chat that we should respond to?
Okay, so just to summarize, right? Like we're
Yeah,
gonna
glad you are.
have playtest 2 in April. If everything goes according to plan, it will be in April. The new aspect that we're going to be testing for this particular test is basically dungeons, kind of like an extraction dungeon type of situation. There'll also be the testing of a hardcore mode. For now, that will be right. Like if you die, you lose your items, but
Yep.
that also allows us to test mechanics where we could do that in more of an on-chain
Mhm.
type of way.
Yeah.
And then basically, the idea is to test PvP in playtest 3. And while you might be, oh no, that's too far away, the idea is to have playtest 3 like pretty shortly after playtest 2.
Yeah. We could release the PvP and the PvE sides together. Just for technical reasons, we're gonna kind of split them apart. But yeah, so stay tuned. If solo mode is not your cup of tea and you're interested in the PvP, stay tuned for the next lounge, and you'll be hearing more about how you get involved in that one. Yeah, man, it's fun. The dev speed has sped up, so I'm tired, but good stuff is being created.
Everyone here is working really hard, and I can feel the velocity increasing across the ecosystem. Yeah, Albion Online, RuneScape, Eve Online. These are all kind of inspirations, things that we're looking at. I guess one thing maybe to talk about, Cruz, is how are we thinking about PvP, right? Like, so the PvP that people will test is going to be just kind of like a more of a dueling feature, 1v1. But how are we kind of thinking about larger scale PvP in the future?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I've seen some notes in even the comments about like PK maps and PK zones and the interesting gameplay that comes from that. Like that's been a big inspiration for how we're designing this PvP. I know some people have been talking about, hey, can we turn this into like a MOBA or something like that, which is interesting. And like, don't get me wrong, that's like really cool. But the economic levers that a MOBA provides isn't maybe as interesting as we thought. Like we have some like prototypes, and we've done some like early designs as far as what that looks like. And MOBAs have been kind of like optimized to death. So this dueling feature is really just, yeah, to your point, just testing out, hey, Is it lag free? Does this work when we try to attack each other? Does this make sense? But the real cool emerging gameplay we want to test is like what happens when you interact with other players, and also you have interesting things in the environment at the same time. So this kind of PvPvE dynamic that you see in a lot of MMORPGs, how do we distill that in a small vertical slice that people can test out and see, hey, like me and Shade walk up to a bar, we're both trying to fight someone to collect their loot. Do we team up? Do we work together? Do we work together for a little bit? Does Shade stab me in the back, as he often does? Or do I stab him in the back? What does that look like? We think there's a lot of more cool gameplay patterns if we kind of set that system versus a more traditional PvP dueling, whatever MOBA type function where a lot of that gameplay doesn't get to happen. And again, that's kind of what we're looking at. That's what we're specking out. Something that we're internally really excited about. I think it's gonna get a lot of really cool gameplay moments and really test out our gameplay systems to their extent and lead to some really cool stories. And then if that works out and people are liking it and it's performing well, then what does that look like when that's scaled to a larger gameplay system? But yeah, so that's what we're targeting for Q3 after this playtest. Really cool, deep PvPvE gameplay.
Okay, so PvPvE, this idea of creating the tension of whether we work together to kind of complete this
Yeah.
thing, or do we betray each other, right? So it's kind of more like of a PvPvE type of situation where you're teaming up and you're potentially fighting others, but you're also potentially working together, or a bit of both, right? I think that's where the magic happens. I think another principle that we're thinking is the type of like MMO that was popular when I was a kid or whatever is not necessarily one like realistic in this day and age for a variety of reasons, right? People just don't have like the patience or the time to
Yeah.
go through like 8-hour sessions. So we're kind of thinking about like, right, what is the kind of minimum viable experience where it's very social, you're able to hang out with your friends, but you're still able to enjoy it in bite-sized chunks of like 10 to 15 minutes and still have a substantive type of experience.
Yeah, especially because we want to optimize for mobile. Like if you're standing in a coffee shop line, you can't be doing 8-hour raids with your friends. So yeah, exactly. What does that look like in a 3-minute chunk? We've seen some mobile games take their shot at it, so we have some pretty interesting comps to work with. So we're excited to. We'll share more in a future launch, but this is
Is the
early thoughts.
is this build, is it going to be mobile only? The next
Yeah,
build?
so it's optimized for mobile. It is playable on like PC and Mac. We were kind of talking with the team to see how many people in the playtest would really want a PC Mac build. So if you want it, yell for it. It's a little bit more work for us, but we can do it if that's what the people want. It feels a lot better on both mobile and on PC Mac than the last playtest. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Right, last. So yeah, that's covered like the codex then, and then a Tears Legacy playtest 2 and how they're going to work in parallel, which I'm super excited for, especially the lore. But do you want to just jump into slightly detour? Probably go to yourself for this, Jiho, with like what's happening with Axie other games, and is there anything else on the horizon for that?
Yeah. So, I think there's been some discussion about, okay, the team is really focused on Atia's legacy, like, what do we do with Origins and Classic, stuff like that. And yeah, so, one of the things that we're discussing internally is, right, like kind of open sourcing the game, or finding ways to basically kind of leverage the governance process to allow for continued work on these games. And so it's still a relatively early idea, but that's something that has been discussed where, right, like if we don't have the bandwidth or the ability to kind of work on these games ourselves, could be something that is actually kind of delegated out to the community. It's also like a really interesting kind of test case for governance. And I think another thing that I've been talking about and thinking about is, I've been playing chess a bit recently, and the parallels between Axie Classic in particular and chess are pretty interesting, where it's like I feel like Axie Classic is a very timeless format. And, so the fact that the game is up, right? Like, Axie Classic is up, it's playable, we still have seasons. But perhaps there's a little bit more we can do in terms of keeping the competitive scene alive. I know that was like a really important thing to people that people enjoyed and, give us some of the most historic moments in Axie history. So, to that end, we're actually, right, coding, or Jaster is coding a platform that will basically allow us to basically have more tournaments, have buy-in tournaments, things like that. So basically a platform for hosting tournaments, and anyone could theoretically host a tournament on this platform. And so yeah, especially with advancements in AI and vibe coding and stuff like that, like, I think there's a lot more opportunity for stuff like this. Cairo has been killing it with mods. They've been pumping out a ton of like really useful tools for Grand Arena. A lot of that, I believe, is probably like vibe coded and assisted by AI, which is great because they work really, really freaking well. So yeah, that's kind of just a note on Origins and Classic. I also believe that like one day Axie Classic 2 will be a thing. I actually believe that in my heart, but right now it's not necessarily the time to prioritize that. But that's also a thing, right? It's like with the community, potentially anything is possible.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the highlight. I think there's a lot of people asking questions on socials and stuff. So just giving everyone expectations on moving towards community ownership and governance is actually a good thing. So we'll see what everyone creates.
That's something that we're exploring, right? Like, it might not be as smooth or easy as you think, right? Because the code base can be quite complicated and stuff like that. But just wanted to also hint that we're taking a look at that. And yeah, I think that would also be like a really substantive, like kind of project for governance to kind of take on.
Sweet. Cool. We've got a little time, so what we'll do is we'll go into a little bit of open Q&A if everyone's happy. We have got some additional things we want to leak, but I'll save that until the very end. So make sure you stick around. So yeah, to go into a little Q&A. If you have any questions, try to keep them like on topic what we've discussed if possible. Just because it'll be easier. We've got like the people who would be responsible for them. So anything on the codex, anything on Tier's Legacy playtest 2. Cool. Okay, now we've got loads flying in. I should have expected this. Let's pull some out. So loads of questions about land, terrariums.
Can we? Yeah, maybe Jeff K or Shade can talk a little bit on terrariums.
Yeah. I see a lot of questions here about land, Axie Core, and that all ties into terrariums. Martin asked, any update on Axie Core? It's been a few years. Well, that's terrariums, right? Terrariums is the Axie Core update, and it's going to be the gameplay layer of Axie Core, if you will. But yeah, we're working on terrariums right now. It's gonna, obviously one of the goals is to sunset Homeland, right? But where will land go? Land will now be owned by Axie Core or Land Core or whatever. And the core utility of it will be in terrariums, right? And the idea with terrariums is to have a home for your Axies, right? Today, axes just kind of float around in our inventory. With terrariums, you will place them on Lunacia somewhere, whether it's on your land plot or a friend's land plot or whatever, right? We're creating the sense of space and geography and location with terrariums on a persistent shared map, basically, right? We will all our terrariums, all our lands will be on the same map. There will be a unified time system, and we'll place all our axes all over here. And in the very first version, it'll be very simple, right? Terrariums will simply offer a way to earn your land BAXS rewards. There will be a way to passively earn AXP. You'll do some very basic axie care action, like feeding your axes, maintaining their stamina so that they can do things. And slowly over time, we will layer on more and more systems and things that tie into Axie Core and things that tie into different mini games and experiences, right? And if you're in Mystic Mountain last week, I talked a little bit about a new map of Lunacia, right? I'm exploring whether it would make sense to sort of scrap the old grid and launch a brand new map of Lunacia, right? One that is more ingrained in the lore, one that feels more organic, feels like it has interesting geography and locations and places to go and things to do. And all our land plots exist on this map, right? And I think the general, feel and consensus was that yes, let's get rid of the old map, let's do something new, and sort of like relaunch land in a way, right? So that's the idea with terrariums. We'll have more details at a future lounge, but the idea here is to build this foundation for a persistent world that is rooted in our land plots, and yeah, so that's a little bit about terrariums.
Awesome. Thank you. Just going. Okay, we've got time for probably 2 more. Let's pull them out and then leave on some cliffhangers for the fun. So loads about land. Yeah, so like Shade already said, so what we'll probably do is focus on the next lounge around that, alongside obviously the other main talking points, but just so we can cover it if it's high priority. Connected plots, nodes. So if there's any questions not around land, let me know, throw it in chat, and we can get to them. When next lounge? We're trying to get to a regular cadence, so like for yourselves as well in the community, we keep you updated. So we're thinking like once a month, and it'll probably be like the same time. We'll probably change up the time just to see like how people like it or not. But like every lounge, we'll be doing the long form on YouTube. You'll get shorts out of it. You'll get a written summary. So obviously we'd like you to be live, so then we can have this interaction. So we can address the talking points you want to focus on. But then also, yeah, so essentially once a month is what we're going to try to start off with that and see if people like it. And it also gives you a big enough gap to have big updates on what's going on, because obviously there's a lot. Thanks, Martin. News badge. Conquering the dungeon. Awesome. When can we use our own NFTs? That's a really good question, Dark Messiah. I'd probably say it's a bit too early. Maybe Cruise. Dark Messiah asks, when can we use our own NFTs in a Tears Legacy? Obviously, we're only on playtest 2, so do you know have a rough idea of NFT integration?
Yeah. I messaged in the chat, but just verbally. So just like in playtest 1, we support Mystic NFTs. We do it a little manually. We're having some technical problems supporting all NFTs because there are just so many so many axes in the world, so many millions of axes. I wish there were just fewer than so many millions of axes that exist. But just from a technical perspective, once we solve how to do that, then they'll be ready to go in the game. So yeah, just purely a technical issue.
Cool.
But
Thank you.
hopefully soon. We need to just figure out how to do it.
Awesome. And then we'll do one around codex. So Shade, I'm going to tag you in this one rather than just speaking it out, if that's all right. If you can jump on and talk about that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Just want a clarification of season 1 codex still complete through daily binding quests as VP or whatever. Yeah. If I understand this correctly, yeah, it still is through the daily bounty board. That's the primary way to level up your codex. Yep. A free tier player will have a very hard time to complete the codex before the end of the season, and it's intentionally designed that way. That way. A spender will have a much easier way, right? And especially somebody who has fortune slips, who's going to be able to re-roll and get higher tier quests. They'll level up their codex a lot faster. Yeah, but it is intentionally designed that way.
Sweet. Awesome. Any last minute burners before we wrap up and leave with something? Just going through.
If you don't feed them every 3 days, we see or dude, Axie Discord legend. Is this the real or? I guess he had to make a new Discord account.
That might not be the real or.
He got locked out of his other account. Yeah, it's real.
Oh,
Look up.
okay.
Yeah. What was he? What did he say? If you don't feed them for 3 days, they die. Like that's kind of like in the idea that we're kind of thinking to basically burn a shitload of axes. To be honest, so more on that later. But do I get to drop my leak now or what?
Yes.
Yeah. So that system, like if we have some type of system like that, it'll be very possible to do it at mass scale. All right. Drop some leaks in the chat if you want some leaks, chat. Canuto, you got to take this up with the Axie Score committee. This is not something where SkyMavis is totally running the ship ourselves, especially when it comes to things like governance and the Axie Score. Axie Score is actually, kind of a part of the governance situation. So gotta talk to them. But yeah, I think it makes sense to assign some points to that badge. All right. So yeah, we're gonna leave you with something to ponder, something to think about, something to look forward to. So yeah, we're currently working with a studio that actually has a really very good reputation and track record in the space, and we are working on with them a new Axie game. And in this game, we're going to test out some mechanics that you've never really truly seen in Axie before. So, I think one of the things we tried doing the builder program in the past, right? That didn't really work that well. In the past, it used to take so long to fucking make games. But now with, right, this new age where game development can be really quick, in validating concepts and building things quickly due to AI. that really opens up our ability to work with more teams, right? So we want to work with more teams on putting out Axie games so that, it's not just like a one-man rodeo where Sky Mavis is doing all the work, but also not where we're just like relying only on kind of, novice game designers and not novice game builders, but actually people who have proven track records. So this is just a little, a leak of a proof of concept or, some art to kind of get your mind thinking a bit. Gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, personally, as a game dev in charge of Tia's Legacy, I'm in love with the idea of having other strong, well-renowned teams working on Axie. Selfishly, it takes a lot of pressure off of me, but also unselfishly, this is opening the floodgates to a lot of really cool experiences. So yeah, really hyped. This is a great team. Super excited that we're all working with them, and pretty bullish on this game. Nice. Yeah, everyone thinking that it's Pokemon, it's for sure the Pokemon Company. That's definitely who we're working with.
No. It's not. For legal reasons.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fucking disclaimer that. Okay, I'm gonna go. It was good to see you guys. We'll see you guys next month. We'll see you soon for the playtest. We'll see you soon for the Codex. We'll see you soon for Inatia's Legacy. Yo, everyone here, like I stand by it. Anyone here who wasn't in the last playtest, get in touch with ET and we'll make sure that you're added. Like I'm sure we'll find a way. You may not get on day one of the playtest, but we'll find a way to get you in.
Yeah, let's scale the servers. We'll make it work.
It's gonna
Cool.
work.
Sounds good. Just because everyone keeps asking, so when is the playtest? When is Codex 1 dropping? So Codex Season 1 is going to go live on April the 6th, and Atia's Legacy playtest 2 is going to go live on April the 8th. We're going to drop further info kind of about that, but it's real soon. So make sure, essentially, you've signed up on the website, and then we're going to drop everything else over the next coming days, so you're fully aware.
If everything goes according to plan, by the way, like, that those are the estimates. There can be things that happen or things that pop up. Is it April 8th, really? Or I thought it was April 12th. Or is it really April 8th?
Yeah, it's the target.
Okay, the target is April 8th.
Yeah, I'm relatively confident we can get there, unless if I don't know, something catastrophic happens. But yeah, I'm excited to get this in people's hands.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Sweet. Thank you, everybody. Catch you on the
Thanks,
flip.
guys.
Thanks, guys.